At this time, we'll get started with the Texas A&M post-game press conference. We've been joined by head coach Rob Childress along with student athletes Troy Stein and Daniel Mingden. We will begin shortly with an opening statement from Coach Childress, then we'll take questions first for the student athletes. We do have 2 floor mics out there, so if you do have a question, please raise your hand. Give us just a couple seconds to get a mic over to you. So at this time, we'll get started with Coach.
Disappointing loss for us, and we both brought our Friday night guys back or our Thursday night guys back, and I thought both of them were very, very good. Daniel threw a 2-1 change to Eric Fisher, and Fish didn't miss it. And he swung the bat well against us 2 weeks ago, and gave them an early lead. We had our chances in the 4th, 5th, and 6th to get a big hit with a runner scoring position. Weren't able to do that. A leadoff double in the 7th. Weren't able to move him, and then Arkansas came and took it from us in the bottom half. 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 hit batters, and just like that, they had a 3-run inning and, made it stand up. Their guy was very good. Arkansas's pitchers pitched us as good as any team did all season long. That's credit to Dave Jordan and those pitchers.
Questions for the student athletes, if you raise your hand. We'll start here on the front row.
This is for Troy. I was wondering what you thought about Trey Kelly, and I guess Jackson for that matter. What impressed you about those guys?
They're good pitchers. They're locating well, pitching with multiple pitches in the strike zone. But what really those guys do well is just locate the fastball well. They're going to make you do what they're going to make you hit their pitch, and they did a nice job of that today. They did a nice job of that 2 weeks ago of throwing the ball a couple inches off the plate and really making us hit their pitches and not pitches that we want to hit. And did a nice job pitching, keeping us off balance, and we just couldn't get a big hit off of them.
Other questions for the student athletes? We'll stay here on the front.
This is for Dan. I think you had 11 strikeouts in Fayetteville. You only had 1 today. What was the difference in the strikeouts, do you think?
I don't know. Just pitching differently, pitching more to contact, short rest. I'm not going to have my greatest stuff, so I was trying to pitch to contact with defense play behind me.
We'll get the mic back to you.
Coach alluded to the pitch to Fisher. Could you just talk about that at bat and kind of what happened there?
Well, he's a good hitter. Hit us well 2 weeks ago. And I was trying to fish with changeup outside and left it up a little bit, and he caught it and went.
Other questions for the Texas A&M student athletes? Okay, guys. You guys are welcome to head back to your locker room. We'll stay with Coach Childress for a few questions. Thank you, guys. Questions for Coach? Why don't we start in the back, then we'll come back to you.
Just keep the microphone. Quit giving it back.
Rob, I guess looking at bringing Daniel back today, did you kind of feel like today was a must-win game for you, or is it just kind of the way things kind of worked out for you?
It's just the way things worked out. We did the same thing last year and played Tennessee the Thursday to Saturday series, and he was great against Tennessee. He was great against Florida on short rest, and he's feeling a lot better physically. He was good last week against Ole Miss and was extremely efficient today. I don't think it was – I don't – for our guys, I want them to understand if we're going to a tournament, we're going to win the thing. We're going to pitch our best if he's available, and certainly felt like Daniel was available, just like Arkansas felt like Killian was available. And both those guys did a great job today.
Other questions? Front row.
Coach, you've seen Killian a couple times now in the last month. Just what's your take on him? What makes him so successful?
I just think he has great fastball command. His secondary stuff is good. He's extremely competitive, and I think that's where it starts for all guys that are going to start in the SEC or any other conference. If you can't command the fastball, you're going to really have a roller coaster ride. And you look at his record and you go, well, he's just okay. But as you go along, kind of like we talked about yesterday, a lot of the wins and losses are out of his control. I mean, his innings pitched, his hits, his walks, and strikeouts are fabulous. And he's what you want on Friday night. He's going to give you a chance every time he takes the ball. He's not going to go and beat himself.
Back row.
Rob, I guess as you guys kind of head home now, I guess kind of your thoughts on where you think you guys kind of stand postseason wise here moving forward.
Well, I feel like we're in a regional. If I didn't feel that way, I don't know. I mean, I do feel like we've done enough. Our body of work with what we've done as far as our series wins and our midweek wins on the road from an RPI standpoint will be mid to lower 30s. A strength of schedule in the top 10, and I feel like that ought to get us in. But, it's an uneasy feeling when you got 6 more days or 5 more days and you have no control as far as what goes on across the country from the standpoint of other conference tournaments. But I certainly feel like we deserve to be in the postseason.
Back to the front row.
Alex Gossinger, he caught the Friday night game against you guys up in Fayetteville when Wise was certain that he started today. He had his first, I think it was the first RBI. No, he had his RBI. But he had a big single in that 7th, threw out a guy. Just what did you think of Gosser's play?
Today I thought he was really good as far as receiving, and, he threw out a guy he was supposed to throw out, the missed hit and run. He threw a strike down to second base, but I think his first time to play was against us. And I don't think that he knew he was going to play or not until probably 5:30 for a 6:30 game. And, a lot of people there in Fayetteville, 10,000 people in the stands. And, that night there was a lot of pressure on him, and I thought he was fantastic there and again here. And I don't know the reason that he caught today, if Jake Wise is nursing a sore wrist or what, but I thought he's done a fantastic job and very competitive offensively. But that's not the reason he's in the game. He's in the game to manage this pitching staff, and I thought he did a great job both, 2 weeks ago in Fayetteville and again today.
Second row.
Rob, you guys obviously are pretty familiar with Arkansas the past couple of weeks, but kind of your thoughts on just their pitching staff. There are not a lot of teams around the country that are able to throw out arms like that just nonstop. I guess just talk about those guys.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I think Dave Jordan's one of the best in the country. And when you look at Arkansas, they led the country in drafted guys last year. I think they had 12, and I want to say 11 of those guys signed. And a lot of those guys were pitchers. And you feel like they'd take a step back from a pitching standpoint with all those guys that they lost, but they haven't missed a beat. And I think that's credit to Dave Jordan and having those guys ready to go and pitch at a very high level. And, even where things weren't going real well for them in the middle of the conference race, they rallied, won 5 out of 6, and here they are back in the double elimination tournament. And it's a credit to Dave Jordan and those pitchers.
Front row.
Arkansas 7-1 their last 8 games, all against SEC teams. How well do you think they're playing right now?
Well, really good. And when you look back at what they did their last 10 games, their Saturday game and their Sunday game against Ole Miss, they only won one of those games. But I think they left in those 2 games and had 30 hits. And you could see they were starting to feel it a little bit offensively in Oxford. And that carried over, I felt like, against us in our series. You could see them doing, more things offensively than their numbers said that they were going to do. And then again in Missouri, I mean, they were down to, their last 3 outs. On the Sunday game, they found a way, so they're feeling pretty good about themselves right now.
We'll take one more if there is another question for Coach Childress. Okay. Thank you, Coach.